It's the Danny Cutler Show on Indie Radio, KWSS 93.9 and 99.5 FM, streaming everywhere, KWSS.org. Those of you listening on the air right now, you cannot see him, but I have a very special guest today, and I'm going to try not to geek out too much, but I may geek out a little bit because it's connected to my favorite TV series of all time, Supernatural, which listeners, you've heard me talk way too much about it. I know. But I have the drummer of the band Louden Swain here, Stephen Norton. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello. Thank you so much.
No, it's good to meet you. And I'm so excited to get to talk to you for a little while.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me today. So I usually have the band with me, and I'm solo. So you are getting the first exclusive solo interview. So
Ooh, that means I could get all the dirt and all the gossip about the band.
Exactly. All the things that I've been holding back in all the other interviews that the other guys probably don't want to hear me say anyway. So yes.
Oh well, I got to change a couple of questions here. Hang on. It is wonderful to be talking with you and about Louden Swain. You've probably heard this origin story before, if you will, but I discovered Louden Swain through Supernatural.
Excellent. No, that is not the first time we've heard that. You know, we've been really fortunate that Rob's career as an actor has afforded us opportunities to introduce ourselves to a lot of different people that are fans of a lot of different shows, whether it was Waiting or whether it was Felicity or whether it was Supernatural. And obviously the Supernatural fans have been, I would say, the most intensely interested just because of our, involvement with the fan conventions as the house band. So it's been wonderful to have that audience, and we embrace all of it. So it's amazing.
That is amazing. Well, we're going to get to that in a little bit, but like I said before we started recording, we are going to talk about Louden Swain. I promise. We're talking about him right now. Congratulations, 25 years.
Yeah.
Literally just like last week, I think it's
been a minute or two. So, we hit 25 years. Our first official show was on Halloween of 1997. And it was Mike Borja, our bass player, and Rob Benedict, our lead singer and guitar player, and myself. And then we had a different guitar player at the time. But we played a backyard party for a friend of Mike's, and I think we probably played 6 or 8 original songs and a bunch of cover songs, and we were probably terrible, but it was super fun, and so the band was officially born on that date. Yeah.
How did you meet Rob and everybody else in the band and get started?
Yeah, so I had a high school buddy of mine went to college with Rob, and when I got out to LA in '96, I was invited by my high school buddy to go to a party that was being thrown at Rob's apartment, and he and Mike Borja and a couple other guys were playing songs, just kind of drunkenly with, everybody was having a few drinks and playing some music, and they had their guitars out, and their quote unquote drummer at the time had a little small pair of bongos that he was tapping on, and I remember saying to my buddy Mark after the party, I was like, I know everybody was drunk and just kind of winging it and having a good time, but I really liked some of their original songs that they played. And so about a week or two later, my buddy Mark called me and he says, "Hey man, would you want to play with those guys?" And I said, "Well, don't they have a drummer?" And he was like, "No, not really." And so I ended up getting together with the guys, and 25 years later, here we are. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, they don't have a drummer. He just disappeared.
I think the deal was that the guy he played bongos, but he wasn't really a drummer. And so I think they wanted a guy that had a drum set, and I had gone to school for music and had played in bands my entire life, and had actually not played drums in a band in probably 3 years at that point, and just because I wasn't really inspired to, and when I got the opportunity to play with these guys, I was like, yeah, I like the songs, and that was always the thing that was most important to me was, are they good songwriters? Can they write songs? And these guys could. And so that was what I recognized immediately about Mike and Rob, was that they were good songwriters. And, and then when Billy joined the band, it took us to a whole different place, and his songwriting skills are awesome too. And so now as a band, we're very collaborative, and everybody pitches in, and we all write, and we all put the stuff together, and Rob does all the lyrics, and it's turned into a thing for us. So
yeah, that's a wonderful brotherhood that has come out of that. That's wonderful.
Very much so. It really is a brotherhood. Yeah. 25 years later, it's Billy's the new guy, and he's been here for 16. So, so it's like, so we're definitely very much brothers at this point.
You're listening to an interview I had earlier this week with one of the members of Louden Swain, their drummer, Stephen Norton. We're going to hear a track from Louden Swain right now, and then we'll be back to the interview in just a couple of minutes.
On election day
Danny Cutler Show on Indie Radio, KWSS 93.9 and 99.5 FM, streaming at KWSS.org. That was Louden Swain and Election Day. And now we're going to continue the interview I had via Zoom earlier this week with Stephen Norton, drummer in the band. So let's talk about the band name. Now, sure. You've been around 25 years, and you can tell by my hair that I've been around a minute. I know where Louden Swain came from.
Sure.
Tell everybody where the name came from.
Okay, so the movie Vision Quest was a 1980s wrestling film that starred Matthew Modine and Linda Fiorentino. And the title character, I guess not the title character, Matthew Modine's character was named Louden Swain. So that's where we stole the name from. I remember back in the day, we were sitting around going like, all right, what's a cool name? And we liked the idea of stealing a name from a movie like Veruca Salt or, some of those bands that, even Duran Duran, some of those bands that stole their names from movies. And
borrowed.
So we did it. Borrowed, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we were looking for a name, and we were like, he was a kind of a plucky underdog character, and we liked that aspect of him. And the soundtrack, if you've never listened to the Vision Quest soundtrack, and hopefully you have, but for those who haven't, it's an amazing soundtrack. It's one of the best soundtracks to come out of the 80s. It's just a great soundtrack with everybody from Madonna to Ronnie James Dio to Sammy Hagar to Journey. There are, John Waits. There's so many great artists on that soundtrack, and it's an amazing soundtrack. So we loved all that aspect of it, and now we there might be a tinge of regret in that, when somebody asks you, oh, what's the name of the band, and you say Louden Swain, they go, loud and what? Like, no, it's somebody's name, and then you have to go into the whole explanation. So who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll just call ourselves Swain, but yeah,
Loud and Swayed.
Yeah, for now it's just Louden Swain, and we've been. We actually got a couple years after we started the band, I think when we released our Overachiever record, we got a letter from the author of Vision Quest, Terry Davis, who said, he sent us when I got the letter, I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be a cease and desist. And amazingly, it was the sweetest letter. He was like, thank you so much for keeping the Louden Swain name going. And he sent all of us, who was at the time, it was three of us, he sent each of us an autographed foam core poster from the movie that I still have somewhere. I'd have to dig it out, but it's it's amazing. He was just so very sweet and so very nice about it. And he was like, "Thank you for keeping the name alive." And so we really appreciate it. And I know Rob's had a couple of run-ins with Matthew Modine at various points. They were on a panel together at a film fest, and Rob was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a band that was actually named after Matthew Modine," and he goes, "That's you guys?" And so there've been some of those fun connections like that have been amazing. So
that's funny. I can imagine with the Supernatural convention circuit that you probably do need to explain more to some of the
yeah, because fans. most of those fans were not alive when that movie came out.
No, and I laugh because I listened to Rob's podcast, right? Supernatural Then and Now, and it's funny because they make so many references to things that I'm like, okay, your listeners do not know what you're talking about right now.
Right. Well, when you get two guys who are 50-something years old talking about pop culture, that may happen occasionally. So,
and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm probably one of the oldest Supernatural fans, but hey.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing what the age range is. It's hard to pin down. It really is. Definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about the album. I told you we'd get there.
Yes.
So the new album, it's called Feelings and Such, and it is your 10th album. And at the time this airs, it will be released. So it's being released on November the 11th.
Yes.
And we're going to play the first single after the interview. You won't hear it on the Zoom, but you will hear it on KWSS. I was reading a little bit about the album, and this is your you did an album during the pandemic, and you all were apart and doing your parts separately and mixing it together. This is your first one that you did where you actually could be together again. How was that experience?
It was amazing. I tell you, it was to have gone. So we went from, I think our last show was March 7th of 2020. And, you know, we're a group of guys that had spent, 20 weekends a year together for the past 10 years and, or more. And because we had really been out touring with the Supernatural Convention and other stuff, probably since 2010, 2011. And, for us to have spent all that time together and then all of a sudden somebody says, nope, you're not going to see anybody for a year and a half. It was really tough. Like, we did a lot of Zoom calls together. And we decided early on in the pandemic, we're like, okay, we've got these songs that we've been working on. Let's start recording stuff. And, we each had recording setups in our homes. Mine resides in my living room here. But I'm sure my neighbors love it when I bust into the drums. But yeah, it was one of those things where we were just all recording separately, and it was a real challenge. I mean, especially from my aspect as a drummer, from my viewpoint as a drummer, it's really tough to lay down a part and then email it to upload it to Dropbox, wait for somebody to download it, put it in their session, and then go, I like it, or I don't like this, or man, I don't know, this doesn't feel like it fits quite right. And I remember on one song of the last record called The Company, I think I did 42 different drum tracks.
Wow.
Different takes, just trying to get the sound right, because when you're not in the same room together, and that was what was so refreshing about Feelings and such, was that we were all back in the same room together. We went into 3 different studios over about 9 months, and to be all in the same room together and to go like, hey, I love that sound. That sounds great. Maybe change out that snare drum, or hey, why don't you try this fill here or try a different fill there? Or like, hey, can you do something more like this? Like, to have that instantaneous feedback is just so much better than having to wait around and, you get your hopes up and then you get frustrated and then so the pandemic was tough in terms of trying to get something done. But man, once we were all able to, once everybody got vaccinated and we were all able to be in the same room together and, and just kind of relax and not worry about all the things that we had worried about for the past year, then it was like the floodgates opened. And what started out, we did 8 songs on the Foolish record, and we were originally going to do just another 8 songs on this record. So it would have been like 2 for us short records, because a lot of our records are 12, 13, 14 songs. And when we started getting together, we were like, it was just this flood of music that came out. And before we knew it, we had 12 songs, done. And then, more started coming around. And it was like, so we just had this amazing release of music that had been pent up, and everybody was just, the energy in it is just great because we were just excited to be back together. So yeah, it was really awesome. A fun.
This weekend at the Supernatural Convention that's up in Glendale, you're going to be celebrating your album release too. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We're super excited for that. We were just trading text messages a few minutes ago about what to open the set with. And I think it's going to be a very heavy Feelings and such set list. So, yeah.
It should be.
Yes.
Get the word out. Yes.
And we'll still have some guests on, and we'll still do that kind of stuff as well. So we'll play some tunes with some of our good friends. But yes, we're definitely going to be playing a lot of the stuff off the new record. We just did our album release party a week ago, and that was amazingly fun to play it live in its entirety for the first time. And we're going to be doing a show in Nashville on December 20th with Jensen Ackles, where we'll get to play most of the record again. And so, so we're excited about doing some of these club shows and some of the other stuff outside of the convention as well, where we can get out and play a whole bunch of songs for people. So
that's fantastic. Well, anybody who wants to check out the convention, I'll have all the information on our KWSS social media if you want to do that, because I think you have to have a ticket to the convention in order to see the concert.
You actually do not. Out. They do sell the tickets separately for the concert.
I will have that information then.
Yes, please do. Yes. So if anybody wants to come, they can, if they just want to come to the concert, they can just come to the concert on its own for a separate ticket. So that's the best part. Yes.
Well, great. Well, I will definitely have that info because they are a band that you should definitely check out, Louden Swain. And I will be there. I will definitely be there.
Excellent.
And no, I'm excited I was at the last Supernatural convention I went to was 2013.
Oh, wow. So it's been a long time.
It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute. So that was the last time.
We were probably just getting started then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like this big, oh, it's Rob's band. Oh my gosh, God's band,
So was that the Las Vegas convention or where was that?
No, it was here. It was the Phoenix one. So you don't even have to be a Supernatural fan to enjoy this band.
Yes, that is absolutely 100% true. Yes, our songs are not all just our songs are not Supernatural related at all.
You're not just playing covers of classic rock tunes.
Yes, exactly. So yes, we're our own thing and we're our own entity, and we just happen to live within the Supernatural realm a little bit here and there.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. And you guys have just taken it all in stride and embraced it. And I think it has made, you and your music and everything better for it. So it's wonderful. And it's been wonderful to chat with you, Stephen, for sure. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And we
absolutely
appreciate the time to talk.
Oh, no problem. And now listeners on 93.9 and 99.5 are going to hear the first single off of the new album, Feelings and Such. It is called There's the Rub. And if you're watching this on Zoom, you'll just have to go and find it on Spotify and everywhere because the album will be out by the time you are watching this.
Yes, it will be everywhere. And they can also find the video on YouTube and at our website, loudenswain.com, anywhere on the interwebs. Yes,
and I'm excited for the video too, because you guys posted that little clip of it and I saw a familiar face. So
yes. Kim Rhodes is in the video and that is up now on our YouTube channel.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, and congrats on 25 years and a new album and getting out there and performing live again.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Trying 30 when you're 55, it doesn't fit so good. Never early, only minutes late when you're young and in the hood. Going 60 on the Autobahn, You're scared, I know, you only wanna feel something. It shows, something. It shows,
KWSS 93.9 and 99.5 FM.